Alessandro, it's so nice to have you here.
Hi,
Welcome
Satna.
to the podcast Simply Being by Niwwrd. I know a lot of our guests already know you, but it'll be great if you can give us a little bit of an introduction about you.
I'm Alessandro Dambrosio. I'm actually Executive Design Director of Mitsubishi Motors Corporation, and I'm spending already 25 years in car industry as a designer. Started in Fiat Automotive before, around about 10 years, and then I spent almost 8.5 years in the Volkswagen Group. And now, since almost 7 years and a half, I'm here in Japan as Executive Design Director.
That's amazing. That's a lot of years of experience and a lot of stories, I'm sure. So let's start with how did you end up in automotive design and what drew you into automotive design and
And
how has your understanding evolved over the years?
I have to say that, like almost, or maybe almost without, perhaps, I have to say, all car designer, my passion was born completely separate spontaneously when I was very young. So young that I don't even remember my age currently. In fact, my parents, my relative told me that by looking at car out of the window of my father's car, I could guess the model. So my father always had a great talent for painting. He was a very good painter. He's still now alive, but by the way, he's not painting too much like before. And we are talking about human body and landscape, no, not something really strictly technical like I'm doing right now since 25 years. And he always had a great passion for cars. So I think that I try completely spontaneously to combine both. I don't have his talent at all, and I don't have the talent also of many other car designer. You already made this podcast. So I love that something that I helped create is used by more people around the world. Even since my university days, reading books on the history of industrial design, I've always been fascinated by this, I have to say, aspect of mass production. That's my big passion. Also because it brings a truly high level of complexity, and car is a very, very complex object compared to many other object in product design story.
Yeah.
That's my, very, very easy background how I started my car design path.
No, that's amazing. And having um a father who is that creative, I think it just fuels your creativity a little bit more. So I think that must have been something for you to like look forward to also when you were like, you would spend time with your dad.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. I think so.
So
By
in
the way,
your
I took a lot of inspiration also when I started my training and when I got my internship. There was a lot of inspiration for other people, real designer, product design, industrial design. That for me was really a great search of inspiration. Also, many of my colleagues, a lot of my colleagues, also a lot of my designer too, not just colleague.
Yeah,
I think that we have to learn from everyone.
yeah, no, that's true. So in your view, what makes car design truly timeless?
Timeless beauty is born from for me, completely absence of decoration. Simplicity. If you are referring, for example, to product design, form follow function, that for me was one of the most important sentences. I have to say that I'm completely in love with Dieter Rams' 10 principle of a great design, that is weniger are besser. And I always follow this kind of big rules that
Hmm.
for me are so important. So in the end, I want always to try as simple as possible to avoid any kind of uh, uh, to try to reduce the complexity.
Yeah.
I always say to my guys when they design, when there is some proposal,
Hmm.
always trying. Also, if it looks like, oh, this is very simple,
Yeah.
or this is very simple is one thing, easy is another thing.
Hmm.
No, simplicity for me is never something bad. It's always something very positive. And if you imagine of all the main object or all the main car that are timeless, all the car are simple. For me, it's so important.
Yeah.
Of course, we can't apply the same principle of product design in a car, so it's very difficult. But if you think about interior design, for example,
Hmm.
follow from the function, a
Hmm.
reduction of complexity. When we got a lot of information inside and maybe, noisy, environment, we say in Japan, sekaika, became very difficult to understand where you are and what we are doing and what we are using
Yeah.
is really correct,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe became in a couple of years boring or noisy.
Yeah.
That's for me very important.
I think how you put it is so beautiful. Like, simple is not easy. And I think that's definitely going to stay with me after this podcast. Because usually, there has been, at least like when I look at social media or Instagram or all the new trends that are coming in design, and how I look at it is that, people are looking down on minimalism or simplicity because they're like, we're kind of losing the character of design, and you losing.
That's another point, because actually there are many models, and I have to say many new OEM was born, and this kind of simplicity, it's good because it's been applied in many models, but I have to say it's very difficult also to recognize the character.
Yeah.
So it's very easy to be that all the general environment became very flat.
Hmm.
It's a great challenge, it's a great goal, a great task, not easy.
Yeah, definitely. So you have often emphasized proportion and surface in your work. So how do you?
In the initial phase, it's always good to provoke, I have to say, and emphasize certain aspect, but always, I think, in a positive sense, let me
Mhm.
say, to make the object even more attractive, following both intuition and also the dreamlike aspect.
Hmm.
We always, and I always tell designer that's always better to take 3 or 4 steps forward
Hmm.
and at the beginning of the process, and then step back it a bit, rather than the opposite, which is much more difficult.
Yeah.
So it's good, but we know in the initial phase, I find that is a good thing to do. Always keeping in mind which is the right step that we can do.
Yeah.
And as I just mentioned a few seconds ago, in the beginning, in the advanced phase, it's always better to provoke.
Yeah.
If we don't provoke in the beginning, we can't achieve the right goal, I think.
Also, I think if you don't provoke enough, it's difficult to get out of your own set boundaries and box.
Yeah, correct. Correct.
So I completely agree with you when you said that we have to provoke. Otherwise, it gets a little difficult to move ahead from what's already done. And I feel as humans tend to take a lot of things which are already like we see on a daily basis, and then our mind sort of gets stuck to like whatever is already existing in front of us, and we generally do not want to like get out of our comfort zone. And I think that what you said about like provoking before you even start, I think it's definitely something that can really push you out of your comfort.
Yeah, correct. That's what I want to say. That's what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah. So when you begin designing a new vehicle, what's the first thing that you focus? Emotion, proportion, story, or something else?
I believe the emotional aspect is always present in the mind and the heart of a designer.
Mm-hmm.
And uh, it were gone, I believe we would be facing a real problem. So, nonetheless, for me, proportion are the most important things. This applies to anything. Consider the human body. Discuss about my father just a few seconds ago,
Yeah.
and consider women or men who,
Hmm.
despite their maybe short stature,
Hmm.
have always been very successful thanks to their proportion.
Yeah.
My former boss, Walter de Silva, quoted Marilyn Monroe in this regard, because thinks of the think always about the we say rectangular aura, no, the golden rectangle
Yeah.
or the golden ratio, no. We are talking about 5, 6 centuries before Christ,
Yeah.
and it's the same with cars.
Hmm.
A car with ugly proportion can never be considered perfect, I think. Obviously, proportion are also determined by the package,
Yeah.
and often the package is not friendly to the designer.
Yeah.
Depends where we are working. Here lies the ability to make evaluation beautiful. Otherwise, they wouldn't be both by mediating with the engineer and also by working on the style.
Hmm.
The second aspect is the DNA. which we also call as a design department, design criteria, which represent the brand's character
Yeah.
and is obviously always evolving,
Yeah.
maintaining the cornerstone. That's so important.
Yeah.
So in our company, when we design a car, our DNA
Mm-hmm.
try to do and to emphasize always this concept of timeless modernity, we always say, but at the same time uniqueness.
Yeah.
So it's a great challenge. It's not easy.
Yeah, I'm sure it's not. But I think cars being such a technical product to deal with, proportions and technicality, and this is just a question, a follow up question that I have. Don't you think that because it's such a technical product, sometimes the technicalities overtake the emotional aspect of design?
I think that we are considered sometimes artists, no? But I think that it's very nice to face off with this problem. It's very nice to try to get something nice, despite also with this technical.
Hmm.
We are not producing sculpture. We are producing, by the way, cars.
Yeah.
To be car as aerodynamic aspect, ergonomics aspect inside,
Yeah.
engineer aspect, cost aspect,
Mm-hmm.
marketing aspect,
Yeah.
customer.
Yeah.
It's a very, very complex things. And of course, you have to, I think that is one of the very fascinating part of our job.
Yeah.
I personally find something very interesting and very fascinating.
Yeah.
I don't feel like a limit. I feel like a goal, like a challenge,
Yeah.
you know.
No, I completely agree with you because
And sorry if I interrupt you. And another important things, especially when you are working in a company, in an OEM that are producing big, huge volume of cars.
yeah.
You have to sell a car for 1,000 people,
Mm-hmm.
not maybe for 1,000 or 2,000.
Yeah.
60,000, 70,000 per year,
Mm-hmm.
or more
Mm-hmm.
means that your range of customer is very huge.
Yeah.
These things for me is very fascinating.
Hmm. No,
Of
that's
course, I love a sport car. I love luxury cars. Fantastic. But so luxury car, they are difficult aspect.
yeah,
It's sometimes different kind of, approach.
correct.
But in the end, it's the same job.
Yeah. No, I think I completely agree with you because when I had no plans of moving into automotive industry because I had no clue about what I'm going to do and how much of value I can add. But the moment I joined and my learning curve has been crazy. And the more I've worked in this industry, the more it's mind blowing because I don't think I have learned enough. And it's like every day is a new challenge, and every day there is something which is interesting that is going to pop up.
That's life. That's life. We learn something more every day.
Yeah, but I
I'm
think
learning. I think that it's a mistake to think that we are learning only for the people that has more experience than us. I think that we can learn for everyone.
yeah. But I think automotive industry has this thing like you said, when you're designing for masses, the challenge becomes a little bit more and it becomes huger because you're designing for people who are completely different from each other. So understanding that mass becomes very important. And also with the time which is moving so fast today, with the technological advancements that we have, or even like the preferences that people have on a daily basis are changing so fast, it gets so difficult to understand where they're coming from and how are their stories evolving and how are their needs evolving. So I think that is very interesting, and that's like I think the biggest challenge when you make something that is mass produced at that level. So, you were talking about how you always mentor your team, and your team has to like follow certain directions. So, how do you ensure consistency in design language while still encouraging innovation within your team?
I mean, I have to say that the competition in the automotive industry has increased a lot in the recent years, both in quantity and quality. No, Chinese car in particular have become technological very advanced. and worthy of consideration, even from a stylish point of view, I have to say, from the design point of view, thanks to also, not only, but thank also to the massive recruitment campaign by Eastern manufacturer for the best talent.
Yeah.
The reduction time to market has made managing the design process even more frenetic and complex,
Yeah.
where any mistake can be really fatal. Therefore, it's essential to have a clear, stylish, and strategic vision that constantly strives to innovate without betraying the brand's identity, you know?
Yeah.
So sharing strategy and design with the team and the board member,
Mm-hmm.
it's very important to achieve a shared goal.
Yeah.
It's important to uh, continuously improve the organization,
Mm-hmm.
ensure the clear communication at all the level,
Yeah.
and take into account the culture diversity to stakeholder.
Yeah.
To lead a team toward broader goals, it's necessary to be realistic, I have to be
Mm-hmm.
say, and delegate and hold accountable, solve problem at the root, and maintain a comprehensive vision. This way, everyone can grow and, I think, achieve their goal.
Mm-hmm.
In the Japanese culture, the company is considered almost a second family. So it's a totally different vision that we had in Europe. And belonging is a fundamental, very important.
Mm-hmm.
Indirect communication and avoidance of direction, direct conflict, I have to say, are characteristic traits with an emphasis of reading nuance and body language. So I'm just start learning after many years. Before I couldn't understand, how could I, two aspects particularly struck me. One is a nemawashi, I call, as an informal process of consultation.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I tried to explain English, and
Mm-hmm.
consensus building before making important decision.
Yeah.
I have to say, ensuring harmony within the group.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully you could understand what I mean. It's very difficult,
Yeah.
And the other one is Kaizen. Kaizen means is an approach that encourage a
Mm-hmm.
constant and incremental improvement in all aspects of work. That really shocked me a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I saw an incredible increase of performance and self-improvement that really impressed me a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Based on my Japan experience,
Mm-hmm.
I have to say that it profoundly transformed me,
Okay.
making myself more thoughtful,
Mm-hmm.
patient. If you are not patient in Japan, I think that you will leave in 2-3 days, and respectful while maintaining this passion at the same time. The key to a manager a role in a culture so different from the West is to listen, observe, study, and learn,
Mm-hmm.
and then I think act with uh, a strong respect for local tradition. That's my point of view. Hopefully, you could understand my
Yeah. No.
my way of explaining. It's maybe sometimes a bit difficult, but it will be difficult also in Italian to express this kind of things. But by the way,
No, but I think knowing whatever I know a little bit about Japanese culture, patience is, I think, something that they really highly regard. And to learn that patience and to lead with that kind of patience, I think it's something which is commendable because not everybody can do that. And especially, I feel like it's difficult for the newer generation to relate to it because, like, I don't think our generation has that kind of patience anymore. We want everything quick, we want everything to be.
yeah, I think wherever you go, and if you are coming in another culture for
Mhm.
your work, for your life, you have always to be well integrated. You have first of all to understand the culture where you are.
Yeah.
And one of the first things I did here, based on a friend of mine gave me this advice, and he was right, is to read. I read a couple of books about the story, the story of Japan, and I was able to understand better
Hmm.
their approach. in general. When you understand their approach in general, you could also understand much better how is working a Japanese company, how is the way of thinking of a Japanese company. Especially my company is a very traditional Japanese company
Yeah.
where those kind of aspects
Mhm.
are really, really, really easy to be recognized.
Yeah. So, you spoke about how there should be transparency between you as a leader and your team. And when we talk about the brand values, which is fairly something which is very abstract, they're just couple of words put together, or some phrases put together. They're usually really abstract. So, how do you translate abstract brand values into meaningful design elements?
The brand value, as probably I mentioned already, we have this kind of, we have our DNA,
Mm-hmm.
and our DNA is based on, in Japan, we have, in our company, we have three main aspects that are Kaku, Tan, Jun. Kaku means the confident.
Mm-hmm.
For example, for exterior design is the confident on the face. And the Tan is the athletic, and the Jun is the timeless.
Okay.
How we can keep this kind of value is a task of the designer. But
Mm-hmm.
of course, we have our, for example, our recognizable DNA aspect outside, like a T-shaped light, or I don't know, some treatment of the surface, of the good stance of the car with the right position of the tire compared to the body, blah blah blah. I could follow for many other aspects. And the
Yes.
DNA is always in evolution, and I mean, keeping always the main pillar,
Mm-hmm.
but is always for all the brand and not just for Mitsubishi. For all the brand is, I
Yeah.
think that the DNA and the design criteria is always in evolution. And hiring new member, new young talented designer, and
Mm-hmm.
to be part of this kind of transformation.
Yeah.
And by the way, keeping this kind of strong, solid pillar,
Mm-hmm.
it's really fascinating.
Yeah.
How I can translate, that's part of the designer sensibility.
Yeah.
Sometimes when they are going outside of the path, we
Yeah.
try to drove them, inside again of the right direction based on our DNA. But in the other hand, the contribution of the young generation is so important.
Yeah. And I think with the company, which is so culturally rooted, it becomes even more important for the young designer or the designer to really understand the values, because if you do not understand the values, designing for that company becomes even harder, because their story, their heritage, that's what makes the company so great. And if you don't really get that, then it's not going to be aligning to the vision. And that's where I think the task will fail. So I completely,
We we
yeah,
had the experience with a couple of designers that in the beginning, especially,
yeah,
very, very high talented, but difficult to come inside of our
mhm,
design languages.
got it.
But then, due to their clever point of view and also they
Hmm.
are talented, they was able, and now they are very important for our team. I know that, but that's happened, I think, everywhere. It's
Yeah.
not like
Yeah, I think no. So I guess once you like understand the brand values, you understand what your company is trying to achieve and where it's coming from. I think then I think you can grasp and even define a future or define a vision, because I always believe that the future, whatever vision we have for future, whatever we're designing, whether it's for automotive industry or any other product design, industrial design, most of the future vision comes from past. And this is something that I have like noticed over years, where all the new products, they follow the simple same philosophy that has already been followed in past. It's trying to achieve the same function, and it's just how you look at it is what is different, but the basics of it is still there in the past. So until unless you understand the past or where you're coming from, it gets a little difficult to even define what's the future. So I think from
uh,
both strategy and from design point of view, understanding past becomes very important.
What you say is totally right, and especially if you have the heritage. And our company has a strong heritage, by the way,
Yeah.
because we also, especially in the competition, in the sport activity, and Paris Dakar or rally, we was very successful in the past. And we had, by the way, few models that was very iconic.
Yeah.
It's a big advantage to have an heritage, but it's a pity if you don't
Yeah.
use this kind of heritage for proceed to
Yeah.
go forward
Yeah.
with the next project.
Yeah. Um, just something came in my head right now. I've had this conversation with other people, other fellow designers also, where they had a little bit, and I just want to know your point of view. I've had these conversations where we've spoken about where I am the person who's advocating about understanding past, but what other perspective that gotten was that past can also put you in a box. So, do you think that it can, where obviously it, use it efficiently, then the past can help you define the future's vision?
The past can help to define the future, but of course we can't be a slave of the past. Otherwise we are really we are coming easy in the retro design, or that's not I think the right task for a designer. We have to design the future.
Hmm.
We have to keep the past in our mind. We have to use and to our inspiration to get inspiration from our past and to respect our DNA.
Yeah.
But if you are copying the past, you are not doing a good job, I think,
Yeah.
So that's why probably when my colleague told you could maybe remain in a box,
Uh-huh.
that's probably was their way of.
Yeah.
I'm personally, I love old cars.
Uh-huh.
I have a couple of old timer and I really love it.
Yeah.
I don't say which one, but I will never copy an old car in a modern way. I find that for me as a designer
Uh-huh.
is not a good way of approach.
Uh-huh.
It's not a good way. It's good to keep the inspiration to try to get out
Yeah.
from one old iconic model, the real spirit,
Uh-huh.
not only aesthetic but really the spirit, and
Uh-huh.
of course some iconic element, and to transform in the next car, maybe the successor example, but in a modern way,
Yeah.
because we have to face off the modern technology,
Yeah.
modern generation, modern world.
Uh-huh.
To copy an old car, just scaling in a bigger size, I don't think is the right. I don't think that is the right way.
No, I think I completely agree with you 100%. Um, so Alessandro, you've quite a bit of an experience, and it's been quite a time that you're at a position where you're making creative decisions. So, what have you learned about creative decision making at a leadership level?
Mm. What do you mean exactly?
So how, you've had your journey of probably being an intern in a automotive industry, and then from there now you are leading one of the biggest automotive companies that has ever existed. From being just a designer to a creative director, what are a few of the learnings that you've had in this journey?
What I learned in this journey? You
Yes.
mean, oh, but you mean maybe during my uh, I can tell I think that I learned from all of the step I did in my career. There is not just the one phase in my life, but probably four phases,
Okay.
if I can say.
Mhm.
Probably the first one was when I did my first internship in Alfa Romeo. We are talking about in the end of the 90s after university,
Yeah.
because there was there interacting with young designer from all over
Mhm.
the world
Yeah.
who were really infinitely more talented than me, really. And I really realized I have to work really hard to have to get a bit of success.
Yeah.
And that day of sketching on university desk were three over. The second phase was, of course, during my hiring, when I start really to have a real job. And my experience that I started in the beginning of 2000 in the Lancia Style Center, then Alfa Romeo, Centro Stile, where I was fortunate enough to be helped to grow by really outstanding designer, both in 2D and 3D, physical and digital experience. The third phase, I have to be very honest, which was my real breakthrough, was my move to the Volkswagen Group.
Okay.
There I met and I worked closely with such geniuses as Walter De Silva, Giorgetto and Fabrizio Giugiaro, and all the various design head and designer from the various Volkswagen Group brands, everybody. So I could mention really many people. I prefer to don't do it because otherwise, it's so many people.
Yeah.
Many of whom I still keep in touch with, and many of them possess truly unique talent. Really, I have to say that I was really lucky. Here I worked on project that to call dreams would be an underestimated. Given my position, I had the opportunity to view not as a protagonist, I have to say, but hundred and hundred of design model, maybe more. It was an incredible learning experience.
Yeah.
The first phase was landing in Japan, a truly unique experience, much closer to feasibility and the ability to contribute to the relaunch of an historical brand like
Yeah.
Mitsubishi, a new culture. And this culture aspect has also helped me in my everyday life, changing me, I think, greatly, even internally inside of myself.
Yeah.
And I believe for the better, hopefully. For this, I will always be grateful to Japan and the Japanese. I have wonderful colleagues to whom even I don't show it. I'm truly very fond and from whom I learn so much every day. And I will never stop thanking them. I really love the environment of my job, of my office. Furthermore, we have already brought many cars into production and developed several show cars. Everything always pushing, and pushing. So those are, I think, my four main phases.
Yeah.
Maybe I understood correctly your question. I don't know if I understood correctly your
No, no, no.
question.
It's perfect. So now that you are in your fourth phase, if I may put it, and you are leading one of the biggest automotive company, when you look at a portfolio of a new designer, what makes a portfolio stand out to you, not just in style, but also in substance?
So first of all, the first point I see is the creative aspect. The younger you are, and given the lack of intellectual contamination, I have to say, that we have, it's important to stand out for this aspect, in my point of view. I also want to see this aspect represented convincingly and with a good level of design. Of course, perfect doesn't matter, but the approach is very important to understand the potential of a young designer that I have in front of me,
Yeah.
Second, very important aspect for me is innovation.
Okay.
So the independent use of digital and non-digital tools, being multifaceted. I don't think that we can focus on interior or exterior design today. Instead, we must consider all aspects, including CMF and like UX, UI,
Yeah.
and alas, even AI.
Yeah.
I imagine future designer will have a multiply specialization. Can I say like this?
Yeah. Yeah.
A mistake I often see people make knowing how to use software well, leads them to think they already know how to do everything. That's the main things I see, especially in the young generation.
Yeah.
Software for me must be a tool, not an end in itself. A lot of patience, and they have to be much more humble.
Yeah.
This is what I really I'm expect from a young designer. Recently, it's really tough to find something like this, I have to say. Today, we need to pay attention to what the customer want,
Yeah.
develop a strategy together with
Mm.
the various function.
Mm-hmm.
So the design work is very complex. Have a clear vision and above all, always work together. And despite the clear vision I just mentioned, always put ourselves on the line and listen to and analyze everyone opinion, and above all criticism is so important.
Yeah.
So that's part of our aspect. So the young designer have to understand that of course our job is always move for passion,
Yeah.
but it's became a so complex
Yeah.
way of being, way of working, way of thinking.
Yeah.
So then doesn't have to be underestimated.
Yeah. So, what do you think beyond technical skills? Like, I know that having technical skills or knowing like softwares or how to work around softwares is very important as a designer.
Mm, mm.
But what does it truly mean to think like a designer?
I mean, to use a software, as I told before, software is a tool.
Yeah.
If you are able to manage a 3D software, means that you are starting to get much more practice with the 3D.
Got it.
And if you are getting practice with 3D, you understand much better how is working a surface.
Yeah.
And if you are able to understand how is working a surface in three-dimensional way point of view, you can also express and develop much faster your creativity.
Correct.
When I was young and when I was learning this job, we was using to work in a quarter scale, 1 to 10 scale, inside view, and then the 1 to 1 scale taping. But before to see something in really in 3D was
Yeah.
very, we really need a lot of patience, and
Mm-hmm.
sometime taking months or maybe years,
Yeah.
and to figure out to understand
Yeah.
how to solve some issue,
Mm-hmm.
because we have to solve many issues when we are
Yeah.
working in 3D.
Yeah.
And that's why I mean, I think that is so important for a
Mm.
young designer
Yeah.
because, as I mentioned before, now also time to market became very short.
Correct.
And recently, we are working a project for 2.5 years.
Yeah.
Few years ago was just crazy to think something like this in
Yeah.
such a fast development phase. So that's my aspect I want to consider for young generation.
I think I completely agree with you. Tools is one thing, and tools is just there. It exists to make your creativity. You can put out your creativity in a much better and simpler way, and you have a way to put forward your vision. But the main idea of why you're designing and for whom you're designing, I think becomes more and more important and more relevant because with the AI tools also, like if I just think about today, the AI tools are crazy. They're literally doing everything that you want, whether it's a video or any render or anything in 3D. It can generate whatever. You just have to like put down.
Completely.
But what really matters is that what prompt you're putting, because that is your vision. That is what you have thought, right?
I'm too old to show you which prompt I have to text. I have no idea because sometimes I follow what the designer are doing and I try to understand by Viscom or Optic
Yeah.
how it's working those platform. I also made few tests.
Yeah.
I'm still a bit, I have to say, too much old school, but by the way, what I find interesting is how the machine it's learning
That's
day
right.
by day.
Yeah.
It's somehow interesting, somehow very scary.
Scary. Yeah. No, definitely. Because it's scary for designers of my generation because we spent so much time when I was in college. I remember my trainers or would come and tell us that you really need to, ace this particular tool, or you should really know how to use a particular tool to, make your process easier to even showcase what you're thinking. But now, when I look at designers who are younger to me, and on social media, you find millions of people posting great looking visuals and great looking stuff. But again, and I think I've said this before as well, that I'm a person who's old school. I would always pick up pen and paper in the starting of a project. So I think I'm very old school, and I think because of
You are
that.
very young. You can't be old school. You are so young. I'm old school. I'm a grandfather. You are very young.
Yeah, but I think my because of my trainers and people that my mentors, they've always been people who have really valued pen and paper and valued the old system of thinking and design thinking, because I have always been told that anybody can make good looking visuals, but what are you trying to solve with it? What is that you're trying to achieve from it is what really matters. And now I feel, because of the whole AI coming in the picture, we are somewhere losing that, where we're trying to just make everything look so flashy and pretty that we are losing the intent of why we are even doing it. And that's just really sad at this point.
A few of my designers tried to, based on their sketch, to transfer the sketch in the Viscom or in
Mm-hmm.
other AI applications. Sometimes, can support to represent the sketch in a different kind of environment. And sometimes that can give some inspiration for
Yeah,
some treatment.
yeah,
But a few of us, by the way, we are a bit, that especially the more old generation like me, a bit sometimes difficult to face off with this kind of, new way of working. But that's by the way part of the future, and will be part of the progression. We can't avoid these kind of transitions.
true. Yeah.
They are also starting to using ISO many sample like of a CMF
Mm-hmm.
proposal by
Yeah,
using AI or animation with CMF.
yeah,
It's crazy,
yeah,
crazy.
it is. But I think if we just hold on to, I think at the end it just matters. What really matters is, what you're thinking. Because at the end, you can have AI tools to help you create the best looking proposals or give you an inspiration. But as designers, I think the thought is what is going to matter the most in future. You thinking and how you look at it, and obviously the human aspect of design, I think that is something that's just me, that I think the AI can never really take over, because
I hope so. I hope so.
I hope so too.
I
I
hope so.
really hope so too. Yeah. So what project or phase in your career has taught you the most about yourself as a designer?
It's difficult to mention just one. Many project was so important for my career. Many project teach me a lot.
Yeah.
I would be unfair if I mention just. I can just really randomly, just the Alfa Romeo Kamal. That was a show car we did in 2003 in Alfa Romeo. Was the first small sport SUV before the Porsche Cayenne. And unfortunately, we was following the car to the production, but then they decided to cancel the project in the end. It was really a pity.
Yeah.
I can say maybe for each brand, maybe one project. The second one is the Maserati Gran Cabrio. I worked together with Pininfarina for the production of this car.
Mm-hmm.
Then when I moved to Volkswagen, I made a proposal for the Passat B8
Mm-hmm.
sedan and went in the final phase.
Yeah.
And they took a part of my team car and part of the car, another guy, and they
Yeah.
made a mix for the final production car of the B8.
Mm-hmm.
In Audi, I participate in few projects about the A4, but I can say, okay, the TT Sportback, that was a show car
Mm-hmm.
we present in 2014 in Paris when I was the head of Audi Concept Design Studio Munich. And I have to say another car is the Lamborghini Egoista
Mm-hmm.
that I did together with an incredible, talented team. All of our team in Braunschweig and Potsdam at the time. I participated in another very fascinating project. Was the Bugatti. We did the Bugatti together with my old boss, and for the anniversary of Bugatti, there was should be a present for Ferdinand Piech, But unfortunately, the car had to open the Mille Miglia in 2016, but came the diesel scandal of the Volkswagen, big scandal of the Dieselgate, and the car has been cancelled, was shown in a few Instagram pages, but never went somewhere.
Yeah.
And Mitsubishi, I have to say, all the project, because I participated actively in all the production phase together with my boss, Seiji Watanabe,
Mm-hmm.
and before Tsunehiro Kunimoto, that I will be always grateful to hire me in 2017. Probably I have to say the Mitsubishi Triton, because was the first one, was the pickup truck.
Yeah.
So to also mention a car totally different from the other one I mentioned before. And probably I have to say the XFC concept that then became the Mitsubishi X-Force
Mm-hmm.
is a small SUV for the ASEAN market. And recently we present also the Mitsubishi Destinator,
Mm-hmm.
3-row SUV.
Yeah.
I'm completely in love with our Mitsubishi Delica Mini, that is the K car
Mm-hmm.
for a Japan market. It's a very small cube car.
Oh,
I'm completely in love with this car, I have to say. So probably I mentioned too much, but just to say that our
yeah. So, Alessandro, I have a very interesting question next for you. That since you are in a very hectic and a very important role, and it's a role with like huge responsibility, and you have to deal with so many people and so many things at the same time, how do you stay creatively inspired and motivated?
it's a very nice question, Chetna. So first of all, I'm staying always curious, reading, observing, and always looking for something that capture my attention. I think about fashion, for example. I love fashion and its details. In Japan, it's Tokyo especially, there are so many inspiration about handmade and quality and small detail. And or for example, design of object I love, so such watches or motorcycle, furniture, interior design, boats,
Mm-hmm.
everything inspired me.
Yeah.
Here in Aoyama, there is the Nezu Museum, and just to go there and seeing an exhibition on the art of Japanese ceramic from many centuries ago can also
Mhm.
inspire me. I don't have a clear answer about it, but that's part of,
Yeah.
probably that's maybe the more spontaneous answer that I can give you.
Yeah. No, I think the more, I think inspiration is everywhere if you have the right eye for it, and it can hit you anywhere at any time. And I think that at least happens with me a lot, where if I have a project that is due, and if I'm sitting in my studio and I'm working, and I will spend 3 hours just trying to figure out something and I'm unable to, and then suddenly I'll go for a walk and I'm buying flowers for my home, and then I'll be like, oh, you know what? And that's where the inspiration is going to hit. So I completely agree with you, because you can't really like put a pin on, okay, this really inspires me, because I feel like as designers anything and everything can inspire you.
In Japan and in Tokyo especially, there is an incredible, if you love some aspect, for example, of fashion, they are maniac about some things and they are reproducing the things in such an incredible high level of quality and detailing
Mhm.
that fascinated me a lot.
Yeah.
So and it's sometimes dangerous for my wallet and for my credit card, but I have to say that it's also such a great inspiration for many things,
Yeah.
for many aspects of my career. Somebody can say, "Oh, what is the fashion connect with your job?" No, it is definitely,
No,
definitely.
definitely. Yeah. And I think Tokyo being a city with, there's so much that can stimulate you, because I think they're very forward in terms of, not only in terms of tech, but in terms of, like you mentioned, fashion and craftsmanship. And also they have, like, what I really like about Tokyo is also that even though it's so future forward, but you can still, have.
You can breathe, still breathe something about the past and the tradition.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one of the nicest things here,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah, no, I think that's one thing that has always been very fascinating about Japan and Tokyo, obviously, but Japan as a country and as a culture. I think this is one thing that has really fascinated me as a designer, and I'm it's almost on the wish list to go come and visit Japan. So maybe one day. But I think they have a very nice balance of being future forward and yet holding on to the good details from past. So I think that is such a nice mixture that you can experience in Japan.
Definitely,
And I think
definitely.
world is missing that. Like if you look at uh Americans, or Europeans for the matter of fact, all of us are trying to move forward and we're trying to leave everything behind. But I think Japan has really mastered that art of having that kind of a balance in their culture, which is beautiful. So, if you could give one piece of advice to your younger self, what would it be?
Just one?
You can give,
Probably, no, probably I have to say to be more curious and to learn 3D modeling much earlier.
yeah.
Because when I get a bachelor in university,
hmm
we was already facing off with this kind of software. There was other kind of. I started with Alias,
hmm
but I didn't give, I think, the right weight.
hmm
In terms of learning. I learned later,
Yeah.
and I'm still used to sometime to use recently new software like Blender. I'm not very good because all of my our young designers are very good.
hmm
And also the interface is different than Alias. Sometimes I'm really struggling to
hmm
using,
Yeah.
but I'm still always very fascinated about the 3D model.
hmm
And I really would love so much to was able to learn this kind of software much earlier.
Yeah.
And I respect a lot when I see a very good 3D modeler that I don't like to call CID modeler. I call surface designer because they are always in my point of view, the 3D modeler are surface designer. They have the sensibility to
Yeah.
treat a surface also as I have to say the designer way.
Yeah.
So
No, that's amazing. Especially like knowing that 3D design and understanding a 3D object is so important when, especially in industrial design, whether it's product or automotive. I think that kind of an understanding really helps you envision how your product is going to be like and how it can, be more useful. And that also helps you design better for the customers. And I think that's really important. We're almost at the end of the podcast. I have another question for you. So, how do you see the role of automotive design evolving? But not in terms of the trends, because I feel trends come and go, but in terms of the kind of impact it creates.
we are in a time of explosion in terms of the number of brands and models. I believe that the real challenge is to remain unique and above all attractive to the customer because it's really, really difficult thinking about what's happening right now. As I mentioned before, and which will be the impact. This is a very difficult question, Chetna. I really, the impact. The impact is if you think about the environment impact, of course, we have to try to get something always much more respecting the environment.
Yeah.
As I mentioned before, the role of automotive designer is changing a lot,
Uh-huh.
and the complexity is getting high and high and high.
Yeah.
Many years ago, just make a good design
Mm-hmm.
and to follow the model. Now you have to be strategic. You have to think about a strategy. You have to think about benchmark. You have to think about market analysis. You have to think about customer.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, you know, we are working in Mitsubishi, especially for the ASEAN market.
Yeah.
Our ASEAN market are Philippines, Indonesia, Malaysia,
Mm-hmm.
Thailand, Indonesia. I don't know if I mentioned already. Sometimes Singapore, Australia, New Zealand.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have, of course, part of our market, Europe and then US, and especially in the ASEAN, that
Yeah.
is a very huge part. In the ASEAN region, the taste and the way of thinking and the way of being of the Filipino or Indonesian
Mm-hmm.
or Malaysian guy is totally different.
Yes.
And, to be, or a Thai, to
Mm-hmm.
make everybody happy with one car, it's very tough. Those problem was, of course, there was also this problem in the past too, but, we are getting in a very high way of complexity recently. So it's very, very tough. And a designer in a future, but the automotive design evolving, I
Mm-hmm.
think that it's have to definitely to thinking about all of those aspects
Mm-hmm.
in my point of view.
Yeah,
So just to make a nice design is
it's not
not
enough.
enough.
Got it.
And what is nice design?
Yeah.
If you make a nice car, but the car
Hmm.
doesn't get the right success on the market, maybe it's
Yeah.
not your fault because there are many aspects also when you don't sell a car. It's not only design. Maybe
Yeah.
design is fantastic, but the price is too high
Mm-hmm.
or the brand is not strong enough,
Yeah.
maybe in some region, because we
Mm-hmm.
have also to say the strongness of the brand. It's
Correct.
very important. It's a complex word,
It
so
is.
complex word,
It is.
but same time is a very fascinating and I find that challenge attract me a lot.
Yeah. That is.
I don't know if I answered to your last question, but was very difficult, honestly
No,
speaking.
it is definitely very difficult. And I think you're right. How cars or the automotive industry was perceived and was working before has now completely changed, because now the automotive or automobility is not just about giving a customer a car that is going to take the customer from point A to point B. It is now about what the customer wants to experience in the car, because there are, if I go today in the market and I want to buy a car, I have million options. I can, like whatever fits my budget, I'm going to look at that, and then I'm going to see what, what I really want from my car. Is it the comfort that I'm looking for? Is it the luxury that I'm looking for? So I think how customers today are also choosing cars has changed a lot. They have like a lot of parameters that they want to like fulfill. So it's almost like they have a checklist. And then designing a car that fit every customer's checklist is going to be very different, because you can't make everyone happy. I think there are definitely now, like how the industry works is changed completely. And I mean, this is where the evolution has taken us, but it's just like when I talk to some of the car enthusiasts and like a lot of my friends, they're automotive designers, and it's almost like they crib so much that, oh, like the old cars were so nice. They had so much more character, they had so much more story to say, and they're iconic for a reason. And now in today's world, whenever you see a new car that is coming up in the market, it's almost like, okay, what is the shelf life of this car going to be? Is it going to be 5 years, 10 years, 15 years? Because something much more better is going to come in the picture. And it's not just about a better car, but also how the customer is perceiving that car today and how that is going to change in the future. So now the game has become a lot more complex than just a industry which was initially driven by passion. So I think, yeah, it's definitely become really complex.
I didn't mention before regarding the environment, of course, the electrification. That, by the way, has an impact in the propulsion and in the
Yeah,
platform. And but this is too complex discussion that
yeah.
we will, by the way, need it 2 days just to talking about this issue. So it's better to moving on. That's it.
It was great talking to you, Alessandro. It was so
It
much
was my
fun.
pleasure, Chetan, my pleasure.
Thank you so much for doing this with
You are
us.
more than welcome, more than welcome.
So, this is where we end it, and we hope to talk to you more in future. And we hope to, and if you ever visit India, please, it'll be great to see you and meet you in person. So, thank you so much.
Why not? Why not?